Here is question number 1 for track number 4. This is Mary. The question is, what are the main themes, messages, inspirations for this track? So Mary, this is in a lot of ways, this is a deeply personal song. They all are, but this one specifically. Like I said, this album, it's kind of a 5 and 5 thing, where 1, 6, 2, and 7, they kind of match up thematically. This is track number 4, Mary, and this lines up with track number 9, Roman Song. They're the only 2 songs on the album that feature characters, that have named characters. It's really a story song where there is a plot that progresses throughout the song. This and Roman Song are the only 2 that really do that. So they're lined up, kind of partnered together on side 1 and side 2. Side 1, side 2, whatever. Mary is based on my mother's mother, and this song is kind of pulled from the perspective of my mother and her relationship with her stepmother. But that was the basis of the song. That is not note for note what goes on in the song. It's based on that, and it's based on a number of parental relationships of people in my life, friends, other family members, stories that I'd heard about similar situations, and just how that impacted those people that I cared about. And it was always a very strange feeling hearing those stories, because I was blessed and very lucky. My parents are 2 of the most amazing people in the world. So I could never truly understand what it's like to have that kind of person, that kind of relationship with someone who's supposed to be, your guardian, looking out for you. Feel like you have to protect yourself from the person who's supposed to be raising you. I don't know what that's like, and I wanted to kind of understand it because it has impacted so many of the people that are so close to me. So that's really what the main idea of the song is this story of how sometimes the only way to save a relationship really is to maybe get away from it. We could explore that forever and ever. But this was me kind of trying to figure that out, trying to work through those ideas. So officially, on the books, and for as well as my memory can serve me, this was the first song I ever wrote, truly. I was like 10 or 11, I had some lyrics that I'd put together throughout high school, whatever, but this was the first time I ever had a chord progression and a melody and lyrics. I put the whole thing together. This was the first time. And it all was kind of spurred. We're in the car on the way up to my sister's college graduation. And one way or another, we got on the topic of my mother's family. And my mother just kind of passingly said, "Oh, my father," she said, "my father never had much luck with women." She just kind of said that, and, conversation moved on. But for some reason, it just that hit me in the side of the head, and it just left a mark on me. And it just was bouncing around up there for a long time. I actually pulled out the notes app on my phone, countless other people have done this. You've probably got some notes in your phone right now. of, that sounds really good, I should use that. And I kind of typed out on the way up and on the way back from the graduation because it was 2.5 hours away. I used that car ride to basically write out the words to what would become Mary. Um, I changed it around a little bit. I changed some words, added some words, but largely that was where all the words came in. And the next day, I went downstairs to the basement where we keep our electric piano, and I put together the chord progression. It's a pretty. It's not anything groundbreaking as far as chord progressions go, and perhaps you can tell. I've been listening to Bruce Springsteen's "Darkness on the Edge of Town," that album, um, and depending on who you ask, one of the best songs on that album, "Racing in the Street." I love that song, but the chord progression doesn't stray far away from that song. That song, it would be foolish of me to deny that as an inspiration. Um, yeah, it this song, despite being really the first song I ever truly put together, it came together pretty smoothly. This one kind of is like my mother said that line, and she just knocked something over, and this song came tumbling out. This was the seventh song that we recorded for the album. This is the seventh song to really make it to the mixing mastering process. So at this point, by the time I'm recording Mary, I've kind of gotten the flow of it down, how to mix and master and record a song. I kind of had worked out the kinks of the process, and this is a simpler song structurally, instrumentally, so I was able to kind of pound this one out pretty quickly. But what was important in this one that did give me some trouble was the textures of the song. I mean, the piano, easy enough, that's just piano. But the organ and the electric guitar, finding the proper sounds for that. I can tell you I spent longer finding the right sound. It took me longer to do that than it took me to actually record the part. Because both the organ and the guitar, they're simple parts. It's a simple chord progression. But um, I wanted this very specific kind of sound, and I didn't even really know what I was looking for. You know how it is trying to describe a sound in your head. You start using words like, oh, it's really wet and loose, or it's kind of wavy, it's fuzzy. You just things like that. And I'm talking to a computer. I'm alone in my room trying to find the right sounds, and you listen to it like, yeah, but it's not got enough lean to it. Just like, what are you talking about? So that took me a long time, but once I got there, once I figured out the textures and the feel that I wanted out of the instruments, this one came together pretty simple, pretty quickly in the recording process. Yeah. It's just an old abandoned farmhouse, um, just on the outskirts of town. There was a day, my sister is a teacher, she's a preschool teacher, and there was a day where I came out because they were doing a fire safety week, and I came out to teach the young ones about what a firefighter is and what they do. Easy enough, but they were 3 years old, so whatever. And my sister Samantha was actually sick that day, so she wasn't there. I was, I was talking to her class, but she wasn't there. And there's a morning and an afternoon session, and there's like an hour that I had in between, and my sister wasn't there, but it was just far enough away that if I drove home, I'm just gonna have to come right back. So I just kind of stuck around, and this school was kind of out in the country a little bit. So I just picked one direction, and I said I'll just drive for 30 minutes, and I'll turn around. And eventually, I came across an intersection, and this farmhouse, this pretty clearly abandoned farmhouse, was sitting on the corner with the sun shining on it, and the overgrown grass blowing in the wind. It just like, I saw it and I was like, this is where the song takes place in my mind. This is exactly where the song takes place. And it's a very subtle little thing, but for the first half of the song or so, I used clips from this handheld camcorder. Shoots a little bit lower quality. It's got more of a vintage feel to it. And I used those clips for most of the song. But then, when you get to the part of the song where the protagonist, the main character, has decided, I'm not gonna stay here. I'm not gonna let the darkness win. I'm not gonna let this keep going. I'm leaving. I'm moving on. I hope you can forgive me. It changes to my smartphone, which shoots in a much higher resolution. It's got a much more clear picture, and that's a very subtle thing, but it was symbolic. To me, it was symbolic of the turning point of, I'm stuck here and you're making me miserable and you're holding my home hostage and there's nothing I can do. Changing over to, I'm leaving. It's difficult. Maybe I can never come back, but this is the right thing for me. It may be the right thing for you. Maybe the best thing for the both of us is if we just go our separate ways. And that's when that changeover to the high definition happens. This is a small little thing, but that was an important little thing for me in making this lyric video. But this was, of course, this was the first song I ever wrote, which is how I'm going to excuse a relatively simple structure and chord progression. This one is, they're all very personal, but this one is personal in a way the other songs are not. Because this involves, now the story is not straight up real, literal, but this song does involve and is based on and talks about very real relationships that I've had, that people I care about have had. It's very real. A lot of the songs are very interpersonal. You know, I'm fighting myself. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna approach this. This is about me and another person. This is a you and me song, not just a me and me song. And that's something that we all have gone through and we all struggle with. So that's probably the most different feature of this song.